dig into the next panel, which is digital marketing, leveraging the cloud to drive sales. We're going to show a number of companies to talk about different digital platforms for marketing yourself. Our moderator for today is Sheila Clark, the Director of Digital Revenue for Metroland Media. In her role at Metroland Media, Sheila Clark develops integrated marketing campaigns with an emphasis on digital, media, video, and the web. She has a wealth of experience in digital production, website development, branding, marketing, digital advertising, social media, and content marketing. Please join me in welcoming Sheila Clark.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. It's a great day here. I was learning lots in the last session, so now I can sound like I really know what I'm talking about up here today. I would like to introduce our panel. Let's have them come on up. We have from Google Canada, Alec Humes. There he is. We have Lisa Kember from Constant Contact. And Geoff Whitlock from Surround Integrated. So this is really awesome because we have a great combination of a panel up here. We're really covering all bases with this team. I'm with Metroland Media Group, and many of you may know us as your community newspapers, but for over a decade, we've been very involved in digital marketing and advertising for our small and medium-sized businesses in the community. I have personally been involved with them for 8 years in the role of digital marketing and advertising. It is my passion. It's a subject I love to talk about, and it's especially my passion working with the small businesses and helping them understand it. So it's fun for me today to get to work with these three experts and ask them some great questions that I'm sure will help you sort of dig through a lot of the mystery of digital, which is, it's tough. It's a very fluid market. It's a very fluid product, and it's still relatively new, really, in the whole scheme of things. So there's a lot to learn, but this team is going to help you. So let's start with a little intro right here from Alec with Google Canada.
Sure. So hello all. Thanks for having me. I'm standing in for my boss, James Lamb, who heads up the Google for Work drive for Canada. I've been with Google a couple of years, managing partnerships with the ultimate goal of helping SMBs get online, and recently made the move to the cloud technologies and Google for Work platform and driving partnerships through that.
Great. So cloud technologies, and that is certainly something we will talk about today. For some people, the term cloud sounds just like it is a cloud, and what the heck does that mean? So we're going to hopefully get some clarity on that from Alec today. But let's move on to Lisa Kember from Constant Contact. I'm sure you've all heard of that.
Yeah, so I am Lisa Kember. I'm the Regional Director for Constant Contact in Canada and run our field marketing and operations there. So that actually includes a lot of education, so a lot of educational seminars, workshops. I have a team of people who go out and present all across the country. So.
Lisa, would you mind just mentioning for anybody who's not familiar with Constant Contact, what
Sure.
actually
Constant Contact is a software tool that helps you market your business both online and offline and track the results of marketing campaigns and efforts that you do.
Great. And a fabulous email marketing
Yeah, we have
platform
our
as well.
core product is an email marketing system, and then we have a tool for social media campaign management, an event registration system, and a survey tool as well. So
Great.
a whole suite.
And now Geoff Whitlock from Surround Integrated.
Hi, everybody. If you're not sitting in this room, come here. I'm Geoff. I own Surround Integrated Marketing. We're a marketing firm I call it digital up. We start at digital and then move businesses up into traditional media.
Awesome.
I guess we're in the business of helping businesses grow. That's what we do.
Excellent. We all want to do that. So I think what we want to talk about maybe first is that, as I mentioned when I first started, is that the digital medium is so fluid. It's just constantly changing and evolving. So What technologies would you say you've seen surface over the past few years that have changed like the infrastructure of how a small and medium business does digital marketing and planning? Some things that our entrepreneurs may not be aware of.
You want me to take that?
Sure.
So we use a lot of different tools. I'm not going to give Google a whole big up here, but we use a lot of Google tools in our office, starting with like Google Cloud Services. Like the actual, not so much the marketing tools as much as the word processing tools. And cloud documents are really, really helpful for our clients in planning back and forth. So we're planning our marketing plans with clients through these cloud services to work together with the client. But as far as like executing real marketing programs, we use tools like SEMrush, Moz. SEMrush actually lets you dissect your client or your competitors on the internet. What words are they using in Google? What are they searching out? So learning what your competitors are searching or using is very, very helpful, and SEMrush does that. I don't work for them, by the way. But we use other tools like Sprout Social, Google AdWords, Moz. There's just so many tools that are, most of them are free for people like you guys. You can just jump in for nothing and start to take advantage of these tools.
So there's a lot of acronyms in digital as well, and I want to make sure that everyone's clear on some of the things that we're talking about. So when you say SEMRAS, you're talking about...
SEMrush is actually a company name.
Okay.
It's a tool called SEMrush.
Okay.
And when I talk about Moz, it's a company name called Moz. It's a search engine tool called Moz.
Excellent.
That helps us understand how to rank in Google or how to rank in Bing or how to get the business more visible in search.
Okay, great. Lisa, what about you? What have you seen change in the last few years?
It's all the social media tools, right? And how powerful all of those are. I mean, the last tool I'm experimenting with is Periscope, and I'm seeing some of our customers are using it and then integrating some of their Periscope videos into our email marketing campaigns. So it's, I think, always sort of experimenting with what the latest is and making sure that you understand what you're trying to do with tools like that, because I think a lot of people think that they should market on social media. But often that's not really the purpose. The purpose is to get found, it's to get discoverable, it's to leverage off the customers that you have in order to build more. So, you can experiment with a lot of tools, but you really need to be clear about what you're trying to do.
Right. So, Alec, I think perhaps one of the questions that we should discuss right now is, what is the cloud? How does the cloud work for small, medium business? What is the cloud? Do you want to know that? I think we want to know that. Right? What's the cloud?
So I think I already had a champion over here, and thank you very much. I think the big thing with the cloud is it can be a lot of things, because what previously would have taken tons of infrastructure and cost, as far as setup, as far as rolling out campaigns, management of staff, payroll, accounting, so many different things, can now all be handled in the cloud. And oftentimes, especially for small businesses, it can be done at a much lower cost.
Right.
So if anything, the big caveat to the cloud is that it's a great equalizer. And as much as the pace of change has been constant, those who truly grasp the cloud, it actually is a bit more iterative, and you actually flow a little better when you're grasping the cloud. And so we have Google for Work as a platform that uses a lot of that, but there's tons of different things available on the cloud that just help businesses operate more seamlessly and at a lower cost.
Right, so essentially, I guess to recap, what you're saying is your small business, maybe 5 employees, you're working 24/7 as the owner. Instead of having to hire a data person, this person, that person, or contract out, if you learn how to use the cloud properly, you can save a lot of that cost of having additional employees on board.
Correct.
And be efficient and organized.
It also removes the need for internal IT infrastructure. Like everybody knows what a server is here, what a computer server is. All it really, the cloud is that server is now at his office instead of yours. Right? So it's basically, we're accessing those servers through the internet instead of through our office. And then we're building these great collaborative tools like Constant Contact, Google for Work, that people can collaborate with through these servers that are not in your office. So you no longer need a server, you don't need to have an IT guy, you don't go down or rarely go down. And that whole worry about technology is now off the business owner's plate. You don't have to do that anymore. And a small business used to have a server in their office or something like that to manage their data. But the cloud services are way better at securing your data than you will ever be. So yeah, that's the cloud to me.
To me, it makes
I like
sense.
having this guy around.
Yeah, no kidding. He's talking you up. So I think one of the most amazing things about the cloud is that you can be anywhere in the world and still access all of your business, your operation, whatever it is, the tools that you're using, you can access them without having a special link on your computer or whatever. You just need the internet. That's it. You're in the cloud. And so it makes it a very powerful time to be a small business owner.
Absolutely. I mean, we all know how hard it is to find time away from the business and feel confident. That way you can access everything you have immediately.
Sure.
And maybe just to tie that back into marketing, the biggest thing that the cloud has brought on is the transformation of the consumer as well as the employee. And so previously the consumer would very happily sit through a 30-second, 1-minute TV ad. Now half the time they're on their mobile phones.
Right.
And the same thing has happened with the employee, where oftentimes, even if not mandated by the company, they're using social apps or different online tools of how they actually operate. So really embracing the cloud allows you to connect all that both to reaching the consumer and connecting more with your employee and empowering them.
So true.
Excellent.
Very good.
So I want to touch on something that I see is a bit of a common mistake that small and medium-sized businesses do when we get into the advertising or marketing aspect of what they're doing. And that is often you look at somebody comes along and offers you something and you put all your eggs in that one basket, basically. You say, okay, this is how I'm going to advertise, or this is how I'm going to market. So what I wanted to talk about here is why should multi-channel digital marketing be essential to an overall campaign to getting your message out there and getting known to the consumer?
I think businesses should really be channel agnostic. As a business owner, you shouldn't be a marketing channel like a Google or a Constant Contact or a Metroland, but it's a bit of all of them. The idea of surrounding yourself with more marketing tools nowadays, especially since it's all so cheap, like the Facebook ads and Google ads and some work on Metroland's local papers and Constant Contact, you can have access to all of these things for next to nothing nowadays. So to say I'm going to market in Google exclusively is probably a misnomer. That shouldn't happen. You should be all over the place.
But if you choose to go that way, that's okay.
I was just going to add to that, though, that I think the one mistake that people make is they tend to get focused on one thing to the exclusion of the others, which means that they tend not to understand the purpose of what they're trying to do. I think each of these tools, Constant Contact, Google, we all have different purposes for what it's intended to help you do. So you've got to understand, if you're trying to market your business, you have to think about, the piece of how do you get found? That's perhaps Google. It's perhaps, it could be traditional business, could be an online directory, it could be, I don't know, it depends on your business. The getting found piece. Then there's how do you engage your existing customers and, interacting with them in some way, and maybe that's the social media piece. Maybe it's getting them to join your email list, and using Constant Contact for that. There's how do you run marketing campaigns? How do you get people to take action, to do something? And there's different tools to help you do that. And then finally, using all of the analytics that are available in the different systems that you use, looking at that data, looking at and analyzing what does that data mean in terms of what I need to do more of or what I need to do less of.
I think it's also very important, if you don't know how to analyze that data, to find out. Take the time. It is well worth the investment to learn how to analyze that data, because otherwise you're going out there and you're spending your hard-earned dollars just with no direction, with no understanding of exactly how it's working for you. So I think it's essential to do that. We have mentioned social media a few times, and I think social media is one area that I see a lot of small businesses think that's all they need to do. They just need to have a Facebook page and people follow them, and that's enough in advertising. So let's talk about why social media presence is important, but let's also talk about what it is and what it isn't. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure. So I guess social media is a bit of a tricky one for Google. But as far as what we were talking about being found and things like that, so Google Plus is a tool that has since, especially for businesses, we've consolidated that into something called Google My Business. And so Google My Business is where businesses can be found and create profile pages that end up showing up in search results organically. So that's free for those who don't know. And you can actually build a robust profile that ties into all kinds of other social media platforms. And so that's one way that we do it. And a lot of businesses don't even, haven't taken advantage to do that, despite the fact that it's quite low-hanging fruit.
So just to clarify that, that's Google My Business, and I think that's a good thing to know about. It's free, but I assume you need to go on and, like the other Google profiles, get a PIN. So you just you put ask for access to a PIN, and then you can manage that account yourself. And organic search results are really, really very valuable to you, so it's well worth doing something like that. Lisa, what about you?
So my comment on the social media thing is this. I think social is hugely powerful for getting found, for leveraging relationships that you already have in the offline world, and connecting with people online, and then leveraging off those relationships to access their friends, followers, and connections. But I think you need to understand that it has a purpose. And you need to focus on what its purpose is. It is not really a great tool for trying to promote your products and services all the time. You can do it some, you can do it carefully, but I think the mistake a lot of small business owners are still making is that they tend to push their products over and over and over on social media. And really what you want to be doing is focusing on connecting with real people and having real conversations, maybe about your product, but maybe just about life and things kind of indirectly related to your product. Nurturing relationships that then lead to repeat and referral business, hopefully, or new business.
Social media to us is, I can tell you a story. One of our clients came and said, I want daily social media. And I said to the client, I said, well, why? Why do you want daily social media? He's like, because that's what I need to do. Everyone's social, everyone's there. And so he owns a pizza shop. I said, so what are you going to talk about every day on social media? And he had it in his head through listening to people like us that he had to do this every day, that he had to take part every day. When in fact he was losing the main point of it. The main point of it that we believe is what you said, it's conversation. It's about being social, not about yelling into a room and walking away. And a lot of clients, a lot of people that we know, literally just have a constant stream of stuff just because they can, not because they have to, need to, should. You should really only be social if you've got something to talk about. You know the guy in the room, we're all hanging out and he's got nothing to say, but he keeps on talking. Eventually everybody kind of turns around and looks the other way, and that guy's on his own. He's that guy, right? You don't want to be that guy in social because people just tune you out, right? They'll turn off they'll unfollow you, they'll get rid of your messages. But if you're a pizza guy and there's something happened in Italy and some great world's largest pizza happened and this happens on one day, sure, let's start a conversation about that. But as far as the pizza guy on Facebook or the pizza guy in Snapchat, it's really when in Rome. Everybody heard this term, when in Rome, do what the Romans do? Social media is the same thing. Twitter, Facebook, Snap, Plus, they're all different. The way you engage is different. The way you discuss is different. The length of time you spend is different. But if you keep streaming stuff, people tune you out and they'll leave you alone.
Yeah, take care. I just want to add one more thought to that, and that is that we, in June, we commissioned a study of consumers in Canada. We asked them, how do you want brands to stay connected with you? And most of the small business people I talk to think social media is the way to go. Social. But in this survey, social was only 5% of the total consumers wanting brands to stay connected with them on social media. So we may, as small business owners, be making a mistake if we're exclusively focusing on social media. The things that were above that were things like email marketing, telephone contact, personal connections. It was all of the sort of more traditional kind of things, not the latest and greatest, sexiest social media tools. So sorry guys, but that's what consumers are saying. So if you're selling, you want to sell where people want to be sold to.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. And even Geoff, when he started to talk about social media, the first words he said is, let me tell you a story. And really, that's what it comes down to. Social media is meant about content. It's content marketing, if anything. It's about telling your story. It's about talking about something that's engaging and of interest to the consumer. It's not about advertising your product, because the last thing we all want is to get notification after we just eventually will unlike you. So
then that actually leads into one of the pieces that I wanted to talk to you about today, and that is content marketing. So content marketing is kind of like the buzzword that viral was a few years ago. Everyone's talking about content marketing. And I think first of all, we should talk about what is content marketing. First of all, it's not advertising, it is marketing. And there's many different ways to deliver content marketing. So let's talk about that maybe with Lisa first.
Oh, put me on the spot. So content marketing, I think it's really all about what you're saying, how you're sharing your story. I mean, I love the idea of it's storytelling. To me, it's copying what the Metrolands of the world have done for years. Tell stories of things going on in the community. Is that really their product? No, they're telling stories to get people reading so they can sell advertising. Sorry, but that's kind of the traditional, that's what it's been like. That's kind of how you want to think about content marketing. It's, you know, building your brand and building exposure for your company or your products, but doing that in a kind of soft sell way through storytelling, through talking about how customers have used your products or services, you know, even just sort of anecdotes from life that kind of make you think about something related to your product. I mean, if you've ever heard me present, you've heard me talk about stories related to my kid. I tell stories about my 3-year-old all the time because he makes me think about marketing and marketing tools because of the things he does and says. It's just little anecdotes. People love that stuff, and that's, to me, what you want to do in content marketing is the stories, the information, the advice, the tips is some of it, but it's really done with a storytelling flavor, like newspapers, magazines, online publications have done for years. So take a look at what Metroland does and try and copy them.
And maybe to jump on that, I think now with mobile and with video, and online video in particular, advertisers very much have a blank canvas as far as what they're able to do.
Awesome.
And so you're no longer restrained by the size of a particular ad clip or a certain time slot on a TV show. Now you can actually creatively go after what message you want to give out, and also resonate that much further to have a kind of consistent engagement with the consumer. It's very powerful.
And one that's engaging. So Geoff, maybe you can talk about some of the different formats of content marketing. You know, we just talked about video, we talked about stories, and how we can use it in social media.
Sure. I gotta just kind of say that again. When in Rome, do what the Romans do. I only say that because your customers have a certain way about them, and you should be building content to that certain way. You don't just put out a bunch of articles if you're trying to sell art. You don't put out a bunch of articles if you got an interior design company. You can put out text content, but remember, there's infographics, videos, text, art like blog articles, white papers. There's no ending. Photography of the different types of content you can put out there. But it's really important to not just start making stuff. Remember that social media talk, right? It's not really about volume. You've got to be able to help your customer with your content. So really focus on what that customer wants, or question the customer, survey the customer to find out what they want, and then decide what kind of content you're going to build for the customer. To discuss quickly, the YouTube revolution that's happening now is this how-to revolution, where the #1 search term in YouTube, or #2, is how to do something. So if we have window clients that are window companies who are our clients, we have them putting up videos of how to install your own window. It's just we make it look really hard so that the customer wants to call the window company. And we'll also run the ad at the same time as that video happens as well. But the how to, if you can answer questions via photography, infographics, if you can help me learn via a video, a shot on your cell phone, if nice, for free, and just upload it to a free YouTube account and promote it for free through a Junior Constant Contact account, like you have content right there that I really, really need. And you're getting permission to talk to me that way. You're not just daily yapping at me. You're getting my attention because you're helping me. That's the #1 thing I think in content marketing for us, anyway.
Absolutely. I think I'm working again. Am I working again?
Yeah, you're
Good. I agree 100% in terms of think not as to what you want to say, but what your consumers want to hear. And it's difficult sometimes. You have to remove yourself out of your own role, because you can assume a lot of times that your consumers or your customers know what you do or know about you. And it's important to get sort of a third party focus on that And think about the frequently asked questions you get when people come in, that type of thing. Those are the types of things that you want to use your social media or your blog or those types of things for, and attract people through, as Lisa said, more of a soft sell. Is called a pull type of advertising as to a push, right? So is there one particular channel that you find for particularly small, medium-sized businesses that is more effective in social media than the other? One that stands out, or how do they deliver differently? I think Twitter, I know we often get asked, same thing, would you manage a social media campaign for us, do our Twitter, do our Facebook? And I always say, Twitter is a conversation, right? You've got to answer back, and you need to follow, and you can't just sort of post a couple of tweets every now and then and expect it to work. So perhaps Lisa or Geoff or Alec?
Well, maybe not specific to a channel, but something that I've found success with businesses, and there seems to be a huge gap in Canada, especially amongst small businesses, is mobile. And just making sure that you're addressing your potential clients on mobile, that you're giving them a consistent experience on mobile. At the end of 2013, 80% of Canadian businesses didn't have a mobile optimized website, and 90% of Canadians said if they were on their mobile phone and found a site that wasn't mobile, they'd go to someone else. So there's a huge gap as far as the number of SMBs that are addressing mobile when going about their strategy, and I'd say that make sure that you're actually answering that question as a step one.
Absolutely. I know in the panel before they were talking about mobile websites. Another term or an important thing to consider is a responsive website. So it's an option for you if you don't want to have both a desktop and a mobile version. You can have a responsive version. So let's talk about that. You guys, I'm just the moderator, so I'll let you be the experts.
Well, so we actually have a developer toolkit that's like publicly available of a checklist to go through to make sure that you're mobile, like responsive, and that you're addressing all the things that will show up, both organic and search and everything like that when you're found.
How does somebody find that?
Search
That checklist.
Google Developer Toolkit and Website Developer Toolkit, and you'll find it from that. So apologize,
good
it's
thing
not
to
an
do.
easy one, but luckily there's a search engine that helps. Yeah, I'd say that's a good starting point.
Okay.
There's something happens on mobile phones now that's headed up by a company who I'm not going to mention again, but it's called in-the-moment marketing, where there's people who are in the moment when they're looking at a store. Like 60% of consumers will look at their phone and then buy a product. If they're walking down the street, they look up here at your sign. They're going to look at the phone, look at your reviews before they go in. They're driving to your hotel. They're looking at TripAdvisor before they come into your hotel. So it's learning how to be in that moment when the person is looking is the most tactful and cost-effective way for a small business to market. Like bigger businesses, like our clients, are marketing everywhere. Like, so we're putting like millions of dollars in market everywhere. A small business can't do that. So you have to find out what moment does my business cure or help, or like what moment in this customer's life cycle am I actually helping with? Figure out that moment and build your marketing around that, and be very mobile centric about that moment. How do I do moments? What to do moments? There's so many different moments. You have to figure out which one you help, and then build a plan around that. That's like a micro marketing plan that you can afford using these tools.
Yeah, and so maybe just to, I love how this guy's reading from my cue, but so we have something called Google Think, and so if you look up Google Think Canada, we actually publish research studies about consumers, what their behaviors are, and everything like that. And so 5 years ago, we came up with something called the zero moment of truth, because we realized that the consumer life cycle had drastically changed, and that people weren't taking into account online activities in the buying cycle. And that if anything, before actually deciding to make a purchase or stepping into a store, there were many moments happening, and we called those the zero moments, because they're before any transaction takes place. And so we revamped that study at the beginning of this year and came up with something called the micro moments. And so that's what Geoff was speaking to. And we found that addressing the micro moments is the most I guess, effective way to make sure that you are part of that consumer journey. And so when you're looking at your marketing strategy, make sure that you are answering the questions that you want to be as far as who you're addressing. So where is the store? How do I do this? Where do I, like, there's all kinds of moments. And those types of things we found resonate so much further and often lead to direct transactions. And so, well, just to close the thought, the #1 growing search trend of the last 5 years with Google is actually near me.
Right.
And so that is because now with this new consumer, they actually expect to find results of what's near me. And so for small businesses, if you do very focused campaigns, you will show up as the near me option. And the fun fact to that is it's actually slowed down because now consumers expect that the search results will know anyways where they are, and they don't need to put near me anymore. So it's pretty crazy.
GPS locations on it.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
It's really actually an incredibly changing world because of digital in terms of succeeding out there as a business, because we as human beings don't have patience anymore. We expect fast results and we expect to see things now, right? So that's why when you look at your business and you say to yourself, do I have a website? It's phenomenal how many businesses, small businesses, do not have a website. That's like you virtually don't exist to the consumer, really. When they're out there, I have a stat here that mobile ad spending, this is really, really important for you to understand, will top 100 billion. This is in Canada. In 2016 and account for more than 50% of all digital ads. Why is that? Because we know that we are a mobile world. So we're on the go, we're looking everything up on that phone. So first and foremost, I think the message is get yourself a website, make sure it's responsive. And what responsive means, because I don't think we actually address that, is that the size of your website will transform itself to suit the platform it's brought up on. So if it's brought up on a desktop, it looks just like a normal website. When you bring it up on a tablet, it reshapes itself so it still delivers all the information nicely and is easy to read. And then even on a small phone, it again reshapes and resizes itself so that it's readable, legible, people can see it.
It's not just websites. I mean, Constant Contact, most of our templates now are mobile responsive. You pretty much have to, for email, for anything that you're doing in digital marketing, you got to be thinking mobile for sure.
Absolutely.
And if I just want to do one quick in the moment thing in support of email marketing. With email marketing, you're given a gift by a client, right? And we educate clients about this all the time. They underestimate the value of that person's email address. That client of yours or your customer has given you access to their inbox. Like they've said, please email me. Can't even imagine the amount of customers who don't have any access, or they're not collecting that email, or they're not using it and putting it into tools like Constant Contact, because in the moment email is as valuable as in the moment ads or in the moment anywhere else. You should be collecting those emails, loading them into this system, and having a continuous stream of fantastic news about your business. It's free. It's your #1 most valuable asset in marketing as a small business.
I agree. I think email, obviously I work for a company that sells an email solution, so I seem biased, but I ran a small business before.
I'm not biased.
Our email list was the most powerful thing that we had in the business, and it is what allowed me to sell that business for a lot of money.
Well, and it's fair to say if people have given you permission, you have a focused audience, right?
Yeah, and I think there's, for someone to go and like your Facebook page or follow you on Twitter, that's a really easy level of commitment. It's not a high level of commitment. If somebody's giving you an email address, it's something very personal to them. It's not just a quick in-the-moment thought. It's, do I really want to hear from this person?
Right.
And yeah, okay, some people are going to unsubscribe, but what you end up with is a list of people who want to hear from you. And there is nothing more powerful in marketing than somebody who wants to hear from you.
Yeah.
So Alec, what are some trends Google is seeing in terms of digital marketing, some new trends, things going on?
So we kind of got into it a bit with the zero moment of truth, the micro moments. I would say as far as a platform, a lot of people, when I speak to them about their business, they're like, so what's the next big thing? I'm like, well, are you already doing mobile and video?
Yeah.
Online?
Yeah.
Okay, if you've got those checked off, then let's talk.
Right.
But I'd say start there. I mean, I think the biggest overhanging thing is the transformation of the consumer I alluded to earlier.
Yep.
The consumer is very empowered now, and with tools like Siri or Google Now, they're actually expecting answers immediately. And what we often find now with search results and Google Trends, if someone doesn't find their answer right away, they will just adjust it a little and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And that seems to apply to all facets of marketing and business and even the employee. So it's something you need to jump on, I guess.
So each of you, if you could say, give me one way that you would say for a small, medium-sized business to easily adapt a form of digital marketing or advertising, what would it be? A first step.
Well, I really think it depends on the business. It's kind of hard for us to sit up here and say, this is what you should do, because it really depends on, are you marketing to consumers? Are you marketing to moms with young kids? Are you, you got to kind of think about who you're trying to target and adapt accordingly. So, I mean,
So
when
think that
someone asks
first.
me a broad question like that, I tend to go, well, tell me more about your business. So it's hard for us to sit here and do that. However, I will say this. I think that you need to get the fundamentals right. You need to understand that what you're trying to do is attract people in. And so there are tools to help you get found. Then you need to think about, how do I, once I have customers in the door, how do I make sure that I can market to them again? So either make sure you're connected to them on social media, or you get them to join your email list, or you add them to your database so you can market to them through snail mail if that's appropriate for the type of business you're in. It's not really about which tool is the right tool for everybody. There is no one answer. There is
Broad question, broad answer.
Yeah.
It's presence. So being present online. Your customers are everywhere, just like you are. They're on one app to the next, to the next, to the next, one search to the next, to the next. They're on their TV to their mobile, to the TV to the computer, they're to the billboard, they're to the newspaper. The customer is everywhere. So you have to be everywhere. Now, it's very difficult for a small business to be everywhere. Very difficult, because it's expensive. But there are some places that presence, like top 10 presence, but we can come up with that, like website, video, mobile site, in Google, on Facebook, in Twitter, in email. Like these are the fundamentals that you speak of. But the bottom line is presence. And people move on the internet, so the day you turn on Facebook is not the last social network you're going to be on. You're going to move with your customers where they move. So it's very active presence. That would be my answer.
Excellent.
And so to piggyback on that, I would say, just kind of more facts for you guys. Canadians are amazingly early adopters when it comes to digital. Number of searches per capita, amount of time spent online, amount of time spent on mobile devices, amount of time watching online video. Canadians are near the top globally in all these categories. And small businesses, as far as what they're doing as far as digital, is a huge gap with respect to that. So I would say, if there's a first thing, just make sure you have a digital strategy and make sure that you're answering the questions that your consumers will potentially be asking and that you're being found when it comes to that.
But we sit and we talk about all these things, right? And I'm a small business owner, I'm busy, I'm trying to build my product and figure out, how to improve the product, or, I'm trying to figure out how do I package my services so that people will buy it. And sometimes I think, we sit in panels like this, because I do this all the time. I know you do. We sit in panels and we yap a lot. And at the end of the day, I think we almost overwhelm people.
Absolutely.
I think you need to pick one thing that helps you get found, one thing that helps you, engage your past customers and resell to them. One thing that you want to look for in what you're doing to market your business. Just try one thing and do it well, and then add another piece. So maybe it's just start with your website and get it working right so it's mobile friendly and you're capturing people when they're there, and then one thing to market yourself on social media. You don't need to be everywhere all at once. Just slowly but surely, one step at a time, one thing at a time.
Well, maybe just to piggyback on that, one thing that we do at Google to try and help that for small businesses, bearing in mind how many hats you guys have to wear and how there just aren't enough hours in the day, is through partners that we work with who help make that easier. And so Constant Contact we work with, not sure if we have a partner.
We're a partner.
Hey, there you go. So I mean,
are as well.
Yep. And so generally finding someone who is an expert who can answer a lot of those questions for you and help build the strategy really helps.
Which is a nice lead in. A lot of the cloud tools that are available to you offer these kind of support resources. People like Surround that, that can help you get going. At Constant Contact, we offer free marketing, coaching, and technical support. So, and you can call and get that help any time of the day or night, and talk to a real live person. So these things are available to you, and it doesn't hurt you to pick up the phone and just talk to somebody. Talk to one of the partners, see what they would offer to help you learn more, so that you can choose the right next step for your business.
And I think that's a really valuable point, because as you all know and experienced, you're probably 20, 30 people a day coming through your doors trying to offer you some sort of solution for advertising and marketing. But I think it is important to make sure you're going with a trusted resource. Do your due diligence, look into who you're going to do business with. It's kind of, to me, like the getting your website built by your brother's sister's son that does it on his spare time, and then the next time you need something done, you can't get it done because he's gone off to university or he's backpacking around Timbuktu. So it is important, it is essential to your business to do your due diligence and make sure you are working with a trusted partner, and like Lisa said, take those steps. Take one step, do it well, then add on. Again, it is important that you don't put all your eggs in one basket, but you have to start somewhere. I believe you need to start with a website if you don't have one, and be present online. Another area that is really valuable is display advertising in terms of mobile ads, behavioral targeting. This is a really effective way of targeting people that are specifically interested in what you do in your service or your products. So let's talk a little bit about that. Maybe Geoff, do you want to?
Like display marketing, like display ads on the internet?
Yeah.
We find that they're humongously valuable for our small business clients. The reason why we use a lot of display in our small business clients, we do only direct response though in those ads. We don't do branding ads or just visual ads. We put an offer on the ad. So if there's an offer on a display ad, the display ad's going to put a lot more people to your coupon or to your website. But we're able to target them so well now that we can get them down to a specific area of a city, and then we'll direct mail every home in that city, like real old school direct mail. And then we'll hit all the mobile phones and computers in that same area as we're direct mailing. And we notice the uptick on the conversion for the client is extremely, extremely high. That direct mail is pushing a lot of clients to the internet and to your website. So we're retargeting your clients as they're going around the internet with these display ads and trying to push them to your offers. But using display advertising without some sort of call to move or to do something, we've noticed isn't good for small business. It's great for brand building and awareness for larger companies if you can afford that type of marketing. But for a small business, you want to offer me something, get me to do something, ask me to do something. Remember, we love to buy stuff. We hate to be sold stuff, but we love to buy stuff. But we need to be asked, right? So you need a call. You need to say give me some reason to click that. And I think that's more, a small business needs an offer in display.
Yeah, funny, because we just added a tool within our suite, our product suite, for that very thing, to figure out how to use display advertising to build your list, to drive people to convert to some sort of action, the next step in the sale. So there's a tool within our suite now to do that. Same thing, you've got to use some display advertising, but you need to drive them to do something from that, especially in small business.
Absolutely. Call to action, offer a deal, or that's a strong call to action. Another really effective advertising tool, mobile. As we mentioned, mobile is huge. We know how important it is to have your presence on that. Is a program called geofencing, where you can actually target literally by the geographical location of your business, so a radius around it, or you can target other competitors, that type of thing, with mobile ads, again with a strong call to action. And that also addresses that moment. I'm hungry right? I'm walking down the street and I'm hungry and my stomach's growling, and I'm on a website and I see an ad for this afternoon, 2-for-1 pizzas, right? Oh, look, it's a block away. That is an effective form of advertising for a small business. So perhaps one of you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I moved to Toronto 2 years ago, and just about every service that I took was based on which ones I could find online that were near me,
Right.
and then a step further than that, the ones that had positive reviews.
Right.
And so it's amazing how many businesses don't tick those two boxes, and just by doing that, there's a huge flood of potential clients that are out there.
Excellent.
That's great. 'Cause that's 100% right. If you can be near somebody and you can be visible there, and then you have good reviews. How many of us are making decisions like that these days, right? You go to Google, you search something, you see the Google Business Center, it shows a name with 5 stars below it and a name with
that's
1
the
star
one.
below it. Who are you going to choose? The 1 star or the 5 star? You're not even going to read the reviews,
Yeah.
which is kind of gaming nowadays, but it's bad, but you can game that, and a lot of our clients have been gamed by other people that put negative reviews about them. But there's good support in
Correct.
Home Stars or in Google, in Yelp. There's support to get rid of that stuff if it's negative. But getting that 5-star review at the top of local business center is the #1 way we drive traffic for all small businesses we have.
So let's be clear though, you don't want to game the system,
No.
but I think you actually need to do something to get those positive reviews.
Active
if you
presence.
sit back and wait for somebody to give you a really good review, you're making a mistake. It's just not going to happen. People are busy, they just, it's not their priority. But if you start asking people when they say they're happy with what you're selling or the experience around what you're selling, that's the time to ask them. And hope is not a strategy. You've actually got to ask.
It's
You've
the same
gotta
thing as
push them to do it.
selling
Yeah.
your product. You have to ask your customer to buy it.
Yep.
And many people fail at that. They fail to actually say, "Hey, do you want to buy this?"
Right.
And people are like, "I'm standing in front of you. Do you want to buy it?" You have to do the same thing with your reviews. And you have to ask a customer, "Hey, did you enjoy your experience today? Can you please give me a review? It would help me out a lot." You have to ask in order to get anything in life. That's my experience.
Agreed. And that's a great place to start asking your clients that, your business, your consumers or fellow businesses, is asking them to put those post reviews on your own website. It's a fantastic opportunity. And the other thing I think is important today is to understand that one thing I also see a shortfall in, and I know it's often because of your time is precious, but when you have a tangible asset, like let's say you've had a piece of content marketing built, you had a video made, or you have a couple of blogs or how-to articles or an infographic, it's important to use those tools everywhere possible that you have, right? You can use them in your social media, you can use it in your website, you can have a media or tips and tricks page on your website. Make sure you take advantage of those tools, because that's what they are, and they're there to engage. Even looking sometimes at using some of these items within your actual business, your bricks and mortar business. So just to recap a couple of tips that I kind of got out of today that I thought you could take home with you. One is I love the Google My Business, right? This is a free tool. It's really easy for you to go on board and just request a PIN. You get a PIN back. I believe it used to come in the mail. Does it still? Yep. Comes in the mail, so you have to, and that's how they verify that you are a bricks and mortar location business. And you get that PIN, you register, and now you can post your information up on your Google My Business. It's there. It's always being seen in front of people, and you can keep your hours constant, update your information. There's nothing worse for the consumer than finding out you're no longer open on Sunday, but your information says you are, and they've driven there. So little things like that in the mobile world and the internet world is very important. So I love that tip. I love the email aspect with the constant contact in the form of asking. And again, this goes to what Geoff was just saying. You won't get it if you don't ask. Ask your clients, ask your consumers for that information. Ask them if you can send them updates, and then follow them. They've come to you, you've served them. Don't let them forget about you. It's such an easy way to do it. And keep thinking when you do that, though, make those emails interesting. Throw some content marketing in there. Tell some stories. And Geoff, what can I say? You're just, he's full of all kinds of tidbits, all kinds of information, but I loved his presence, his in the moment. Think in the moment, what do your businesses want? What do the consumers in your businesses want right now? And stop and ask yourself that, right? In the moment, what are they looking for and how are you addressing that? How are you getting that message out? Fair recap?
Maybe
Yeah,
if
this
I
is
could
awesome.
add just one, and this has largely been framed around marketing, so it didn't really tie in, but for my new job, the Google for Work platform is a great option for people who want to work in the cloud. So everyone knows Gmail, some people know Drive, but it actually ties in pretty secure stuff across all of that. And if anything, embrace the cloud. It makes life much easier for you guys. I saw FreshBooks was up here. There's a lot of alternatives that are in the cloud that can be low cost, a lot of the times free, and help small businesses run really effectively.
It's true. Excellent.
I want to close with one final thing too, and it's about complacency in your customer base. The number one way businesses like us lose customers is through, not because you necessarily did something wrong, it's because the customer has forgotten about you, or they don't know you, or they're just become complacent, they don't care anymore. So if you're looking at like one key thing, if you have customers, the easiest thing to do is to keep them and not to necessarily find new ones. Finding new ones is always harder, but don't let your customers become complacent. Don't let them forget about you. Celebrate the moments, celebrate the achievements, celebrate weekly, monthly, like give them reasons to keep thinking and talking to you so they can keep you top of mind, or else they're gone to the next guy, the next Google search is gone, just like that.
So true.
It's so true. I always call it marketing to the 99%. 99% of your business is going to come from either people coming back and spending more, or referring business to you, or talking about you, whether it's online or offline.
So let's throw it to the floor for Q&A. We have some questions out here. Oh, right here.
Hi.
Here. That.
Okay, I have
There's a
two
microphone just in the back.
questions.
Sorry, I didn't realize there's a mic over there.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Could you give me examples of micro? You were talking about micro, I guess.
Moments.
Micro
Moments, yeah,
moments.
micro moments. So, some examples of that, and another question. I know it's two. Sometimes when you're doing searches, and for example, if you're searching flowers, and then all of a sudden you see digital display advertising on flowersdirect.com, or so how does that happen per se? Like, it's like someone's following you. I know it's cookies and stuff in place, but like all of a sudden, like everything you see is flowers. Like any search that you do, you could be searching for something else, and then you see a whole bunch of stuff on that. So
Sure. So I'll start with the micro moments. I mean, micro moments are what happens to all of us every day, anytime something happens. And that's the thing, is it can be checking movie times or all kinds of stuff, but it can be you break something at home. How do I fix the washer? And just making sure that the moments that you want to address as a business, that you are actually addressing them. So how do I fix a washer? When do I need to call a repairman? So figure out all the moments that apply to your particular business and address those directly. That's something that we've seen is ever more effective with the fast-changing consumer.
The second one's really creepy, actually. It's called retargeting. And it's the search engine of the browser collecting your cookies, and it's following you everywhere on the internet and putting ads up wherever you go. Yeah, that's kind of freaky, but it's real. You could use ad blockers and things to stop that from happening, but it's a really powerful marketing tool. And you could do that through any number of technologies online that offer that service.
So if you don't want the ad blocker, say you as a small business, you want to invest in something like that, who do you contact?
The fastest, quickest, and easiest way, and I'm sorry to say it, is just to go open a Google AdWords account and use the automatic HTML banner ad builder,
Right.
and you're done. It's
Okay.
really easy to do. It's much easier than it looks.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that do it though. Like I'm sure like there's other services. In Metroland would have some fencing services like that as well.
Yeah. So there are many Google partners out there.
Right.
You can search for find a partner, and there will be a list, and they actually have ratings, ones who are closest to you, so that it can get complicated if you want to get more tailored and really make adjustments. So
But sometimes, sometimes in order to buy a service, in order to know how to buy a service, you kind of got to experiment with it yourself. So you're almost better to get in and just try a few keywords and see how it works, and then hire an expert to help you figure it out more.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much for taking your time and kind of offering your expertise. Geoff, I'm a big fan of, I guess, your company's, what's the word? Oh my gosh. Anyway, you mentioned a sequence that you use for your companies where you would do a banner ad and then like send direct mail and then have them come to the website and it kind of loops around. Is there a sequence that you can offer to small businesses like that don't have the $1 million budget that could create that same surround type marketing?
Absolutely. We call it the marketing sweet spot for small business. We've got a lot of clients on it across Canada, and it literally is just buying the direct mail pieces inside this these postal codes, and then fencing those postal codes with media partners like a Metroland or a Google. We buy both. And then putting your ads on mobile and desktop in the same area at the same time, so that the flow from direct mail to the internet, because direct mail pushes a lot of internet traffic. It's not dead. Direct mail is not dead. It pushes internet traffic more than it does the phone nowadays, though. So if you're not on the top of Google or have retargeting set up on your website, the direct mail will push people to these places, and if you're not there, your competitor's getting that lead.
Right.
So our products are built very small, so small businesses can do all three together.
Okay, wicked. You said it was surround marketing. What's the website?
Surrounded.ca.
Surrounded.ca. Sweet.
Thank you.
What is segmented marketing and why is it ending?
Ending, did you say?
What he said.
What is segmented marketing? It was
Segmented
Yeah.
marketing?
I thought he said, why is it ending?
Well, yeah. So segmented marketing is where you have, for instance, within your potential customer base, you have. Well, let me use an example. Let's say you run a pet shop and you have your dog lovers, your cat lovers, your bird lovers. Segmenting would be, I'm going to market differently to the bird lovers than I am to the dog lovers, right? I guess in a very simplistic way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just breaking down your customers into segments. Some of them are like maybe 35, 54. They're a little older. They respond to a different message than your younger customer does. So you understand the message, understand your customers, break the segments out. So you have like a list of 100 people in constant contact. You put 50 of them in the one segment and send one message, and 50 to another segment and send a different message. But that segmentation can happen in social media, ad buying. It happens everywhere. In fact, nowadays, targeting and segments are the only way we market. We don't market mass anymore. We're marketing to specific people and groups and specific times of the day.
Yeah.
I have a small business and I'm about to launch a product in a larger scale. I'm wondering how I can get my new retailers excited about the product, because I want to target a customer base that surrounds their potential store that I'm going to be in. Do you have any ideas about how I can use Google to find that information?
So I couldn't hear super well. So you're launching a product to a number of retailers, and
Yes,
you're wanting
and
to find more information about the retailers or their potential consumers?
No, they're always wanting new marketing strategies to to bring customers to the store. So I have this new product that I want to create energy around that demographic, right? Like whatever client base they have close to that store. Is there any kind of program or something that Google offers?
So the public-facing tools that you could use as a step one would be Google Trends, just to understand what's trending for the products that you're searching.
Yeah.
And you can target specific areas to understand over time, or if there's seasonality and things like that. They also, on Google Think, the site I mentioned earlier, there are tools to understand the buyer journey specific to verticals, and you can just understand broadly how the purchase cycle looks and where you can tie in. After that, I'll defer to these guys. But,
No, go for it.
It's kind of, for me to answer that question, as a marketer, there's a lot more questions that I want to ask you to understand it more. But there's nothing that beats just going out and talking to people. Like, go to the retailer, go to the customer in the area and talk to them. There's a really cool tool that just came out called Go 360. It's a very neat tool that'll actually search out people who are tweeting or doing Instagram or using social media in a specific area, and you could, like, it's kind of new age spamming, but you can message all of them. Brands are doing this more often. It's just spam, right? So when you're a brand or a company and you dig into somebody else's conversation they're having in social media, that's not permission-based marketing. For all intents and purposes, it's spam, right? But it's still kind of cool to do it these days. It's cutting down, but brands and companies getting into conversations. The tool like Go 360 will help you round up all the conversations that are happening in a specific area, and then you can pay 15 cents a tweet to hammer them all and ask them all questions or give them all offers in that specific area at a specific time of day.